And it all comes down to this final. All right, folks, that was a little sneak preview. We're going to come to that in just a moment. Mark here from M1 Racing. A very good day, afternoon or evening, wherever you are, folks. We have got round 7 of the G-Force Racing Elite League coming up for you in just a few moments. But before we go there, I wanted to share with you the last lap of the sprint race from last week in Silverstone, which gave us one of the best races ever in GFR history. Have a watch of this. And it all comes down to this final lap here, with SS7 trying to find a way past M1 Righty. Mac T trying to hold on to that lead. M1 trying to get past Mac T. The battle between M. Dorling and Deceves is not done. I apologise to all our other drivers who we've not been able to spend time with as much as we normally would like, because it's all happening at the front. M1 trying to find a way through on at Mac T into Brooklands. That hasn't worked out. That's allowed SS7 to get on the back of M1 Righty. SS7's really out of battery now, though, so they've only really got... Oh, now here's going to be an interesting move by M1 Righty on the inside of Cops. SS7 goes with them, and SS7 moves up into second only briefly. Mac T's hang on to that on the outside. That battery for SS7, a real disadvantage, has allowed Mac T back through. Let's go up to Mac T. Mac T still does have some battery. M1 will be desperately defending into the final corner, main corner of Stowe. Mac T going round the outside this time. Can they make this one stick? It's wheel to wheel as we head down towards Vale. On the final corners of the sprint race, they touch wheels as they go through Vale and Club. M1 will now have the inside. Are we going to have M1 as the winner? Are we going to have Mac T as they come together and they both crash? They both crash. And the time screens have not changed yet. But as M1 Righty taken that as they crossed the line, I think that's what happened. That was last week, folks. The incredible sprint race around Silverstone, which was wheel-to-wheel for pretty much the entire race, as it was into the feature race. If you've got a spare hour and a half at some point, go and watch that full replay from last Wednesday at Silverstone, round 6. It was epic. It really was. And my congratulations to all the drivers that participated in that for giving us just an incredible evening of racing. So, well, what's that done? This was the finishing results from round 6 in the sprint race. M1 Righty did eventually, as you saw, take the victory as both Mac T and M1 Righty came together over the finishing line. M. Dorling stealing third from SS7 in the sprint race. Then came Deceves and Emelecki, both for Williams. Spicy finished in 7th after having to miss out a big chunk of qualifying. And then Obo finished there in 8th. Roadrunner and Nico Hulkenberg unfortunately unable to finish that. But then came the feature race, and it was the same once again, so close between M1 Righty and Mac T for huge chunks of the race. But then M. Dorling decided they fancied a bit of the action as well, and they finished in second in the M. Dorling. Another great finish for them, back up on the podium. Deceves had a good drive, finishing in 4th. Obo 5th, and SS7, after some strong early promise, particularly the battle with M1 Righty, there was a coming together at Stowe on lap 4, which unfortunately SS7 got the worst of, and that dropped them back in the running order. Spicy finished in 7th, and Emelecki in 8th. Although I think Emelecki did steal fastest lap right at the very end there in the feature race. So at the end of round 6, M1 Righty leads the way on 125 points, our championship winner from season 2. But Mac T is not letting them get away. 101 points for the Mercedes driver, followed very closely by their teammate SS7 on 81 points. And then here comes M. Dorling in 4th for Ferrari, after what for them has been a bit of a slow start to season 3, now starting to climb their way up the leaderboard. I'm very delighted to say I'm joined by Toby again this week. We have no Rio, so Rio's taking a week out, but Toby is with me. And Toby, cast your mind back to last week at Silverstone. What an incredible, incredible race. I've been thinking about that race ever since last Wednesday. How about you? Any moments you remember from last week other than that incredible last lap in the sprint?
The start of both the sprint and the feature was definitely quite chaotic and eventful. But yeah, it's one of them that you just can't forget, and you wish it was in real life as well, not just in a game.
It really was amazing, and the respect from the drivers throughout was really incredible to see. There was a little bit of contact as we saw, and crossing the finishing line, the FIA left those finishing positions unchanged, but it was just really close. Aggressive driving, but fair driving in the large part, and that gave us a real battle all the way from first pretty much down to 5th or 6th for most of that race. We only had, as you can see, 10 drivers out last week, 2 of those not finishing. But as you see, they've got the feature race playing in the top right corner of your screen from last week. That's what it was like the whole way round. Wheel-to-wheel battles from corner to corner. And it was so much for us to talk about, so much to enjoy. And we're very much hoping for the same this week. We are just getting ready for round 7 in Hungary. GFR has never visited Hungary, so this is a first visit for us in the league, so we're very much looking forward to that. And we have a special guest with us this week, as well as a returning driver, teammates indeed from before, I believe. So Mr. Hannes is back this week, and I'm also delighted to say David T is back driving for Ferrari this week. David was very kind enough to pop into the commentary box just before the race started. He's very excited for today, and so are we. We can see Emilecki just joining in the lobby in the bottom right corner of your screen there, folks. So we're getting ready to go. We should have about 10 or 11 drivers out there, but don't let the lower numbers fool you. If last week is anything to go by, we are going to get a great race here. So we're going to wait for the ready up from SS7 in just a few moments. Show you where we are in the calendar. Round 7, we've got 3 more rounds to go after this. We're in Vegas next week, followed by Brazil the week after, and then we round out our time with F1 23 and with G-Force Racing Season 3 in Qatar. And will we crown a new champion, or will M1 Righty retain their title for 2 seasons in a row? You'll have to stick with us over the next 4 weeks and you will find out. Toby, it's still a little way to go. Do you think M1 Righty is going to hang on to their lead in the championship, or do you envisage one of the other drivers coming through to steal it from them?
It could definitely be possible. M1 is so consistent, though, it will be a lot for him to start losing points to others. He's been consistently in the top 3 at the minimum.
And Pete's just whispered in my ear that SS7 told us to ready up. So while we're waiting for the game to load, it's time for an intro, and we will see you the other side of this. Stay where you are, folks. Speak to you in just a moment. Now we've got 3 cars wide. And Mac T's trying to get down the inside of him, Dorling. They're going to do it. Great switch back from him, one there. All right, folks, let's go racing. All right, welcome back, folks. Here we go, round 7 of the G-Force Racing Elite League from Hungary. I'm expecting David T to go very quiet in the chat now as he concentrates on getting out there. Oh, M. Dorling is with us in the chat. Oh, that's excellent news. So M. Dorling not able to be out on track this week. I think they're enjoying the sunshine somewhere on a beach, I hope. Perhaps with a beer in hand as well. So M. Dorling, great to have you with us, and hopefully you enjoy the next hour or so. And I'm pretty sure David T is going to be looking to do you proud, sitting in the Ferrari seat there, the only sole Ferrari out there this week, as we've also lost Obo, as they also take a break for this week also. So we are down a number of drivers this week, but that's going to open the door for a number of our other drivers to come through. And Toby, we were just speaking about it, or just starting to talk about it before we went live into the game here. M1 Righty obviously leading the way, but do you think there's got to be a win on the cards for Mac T soon, hasn't it? They've been so close to that top step, they just haven't been able to do it yet.
Definitely. Or if it's not come this season, it will definitely come next season in the 2024 game.
Indeed. Now, there's the one thing we haven't had to do for a while yet, but we ought to check this actually with Mr. Hannes back with us. Yeah, Mr. Hannes is the detector is still working. That is very, very good news. We haven't had a chance to enable this for a while. There were a few drivers for a while who were testing out the patience of the FIA by resetting to track, but they got caught, and it's a big old penalty now for resetting to track. You get, I think it's 20 seconds in the game and then 5 seconds carried over to the following week. So I don't think we'll see anyone resetting to track, but we've had a bit of fun at Mr. Hannes' expense. But Mr. Hannes had a big injury recently in the real world, so it's very good to have them back out with us. And we may actually give Mr. Hannes the honour of doing a hot lap. I'm also going to do the same with David T on one of their hot laps towards the latter part of qualifying. And so Mr. Han is coming around this 4.4 kilometre track here in Hungary. We've got 14 corners for our drivers to negotiate. Very tight track, this one, round Hungary. And it's all about balance, downforce and rhythm here. And we'll see how well Mr. Hannes can do after attempting to recover from their injury. Obo, welcome. I'm glad you could at least join us on the stream, and even more wonderful that you've subscribed. Thanks ever so much, Owen. It's great to have you with us. And I know the Ferrari team will be missing you both out on track, but David T flying the flag for you this week. We're on board with Mr. Hannes driving for Red Bull, having missed Mr. Hannes for quite some time in the game here, so great to have them back. They're heading round turn 5 here. Bit of a wide line for Mr. Hannes back on the power. We're going to go down to the chicane. Big curbs here on the inside. Looking to avoid these. Nice and smooth for Mr. Hannes. Trying to judge the throttle as we come through 10 and now on to 11. Back on the power. Staying within track limits. Heading down towards 12. This sharp right-hander. Back on the power, we're going to go around the final 2 corners here of the lap, turns 13 and then 14. Want to get on the power as quickly as we can, but the back end will step out on us if we're a bit too aggressive here. Mr. Hannes is going to come over the start-finish line to set a time of a 1:16.805. Their teammate Charlie Ark has set the fastest qualifying time so far, a 1:15.405, followed by Goat Ghosty. For Alpine, so it's great to have Goat back as well. A very strong driver in the league, setting a 1:15.627. He isn't able to be with us every week, but I've seen Goat drive here and in a couple of other leagues, and they are strong. So good support from M1 Righty in the battle with the Mercedes team. Let's get down to David T, who's just crossing the line for their first flying lap. And David T sets a 1:15.772, so very competitive with Goat and Charlie Arks, and not a bad first lap for David T. Now Mac T is coming around to set their first time. Mac T desperate for that first win. We got 1:15.438, very little to separate Charlie and Mac T at this point. SS7, Mac T's teammate, is also coming round now through that chicane. Then through the turns of 8, 9. And then 10. Down towards 11 here. Drivers will try and take this pretty much flat out. Heading down the hill, the the Williams there of Emelecki, just keeping out of our way. So SS7 coming around to turn 13. SS7 been unlucky in recent weeks not to pick up more points for themselves and for Mercedes, but I know they like Hungary here, so we'll be looking to go well. SS7 sets a time of 1:15.647. You can see not very much to separate top drivers here. Just 0.3 of a second pretty much between first and fifth. Let's get down to Emelecki. Oh, and Emelecki's really struggling. We joined them at the right time, didn't we? So that back end steps out for Emelecki as they try and get on the power out of turn 1. And that's made those soft tyres very, very dirty. So we'll have to see if Emelecki decides to go back in. And Toby, you know this game reasonably well, and you know what it's like to drive Williams. So what do you think of Hungary, and particularly turn 1 there for Emelecki?
I didn't properly see it, but I guess he went on the grass. It's quite difficult. The Williams is no different to any other car when you've got equal performance on, but it's a bit unruly when you get on the grass, shall we say.
Yeah, indeed it is. These cars prefer to be on the black stuff. David T is mentioning in the chat they are a red car in a sea of blue. Indeed, they are surrounded by much darker colours here, with the black of Mercedes and the blue of the Alpines and the blue and red of the Red Bulls. So it's just the sole purely red car out there. I'm sticking with Emelecki just for a moment, see if they go again. It does look as though Emelecki will give it one more try. So let's ride on board with Emelecki. We've got 11 minutes left of qualifying. We've only got the one qualifying session, folks, so they've got to get the best time they can in that 11 minutes that's remaining to determine where they end up on the grid for the start of the race. We've only got the one race this week. We had a sprint last week in Silverstone, but just the one this week around Hungary. So this qualifying time ever so important for all of our drivers. And overtaking here, Toby, is not easy.
No, but we've seen the quality of racing with the G-Force, and even at Silverstone, which isn't known for overtaking certain places, we still overtook in those places. I've got no doubt that we're going to see plenty of overtakes today.
Certainly down the start-finish straight, we are going to see a lot into turn 1, possibly down into turn 2. And in a moment when we come in towards turn 12 here, there will be cars that get a better exit out of 11, able to carry more speed. Bit of a slipstream from the car in front. They may make it into this corner here at turn 12. Emelecki keeping it within track limits so far. It's been a struggle for them in qualifying in recent weeks. They've not really hooked one up. They go well in the race, but have been struggling to find a good time. Late apex here for Emelecki should give them a good exit. And Emelecki goes third fastest, 1:15.622. Toby, it's telling already, isn't it? There's very little to choose between our drivers.
Yeah, the only big gap is between David and Mr. Hannes, but Mr. Hannes has been off the game for a while, nursing an injury, so I've got no doubt he can go faster.
I think that's for certain. We're with Emelecki's teammate now, Desaves, as they try and set their first time. Only two drivers without a time at this point, Desaves and M1 Righty. M1 Righty is now on an outlap. Desaves pushing really hard through turn 11, braking into 12. Back on the power. Try and hug the inside of this curb, corner, but not get on the curb. Do the same again through the final corner here. We saw their teammate take a very late apex there. Desaves taking a more traditional line. Desaves sets a 1:16.190, puts them in provisional 7th. We've got to get down to M1 Righty as they start their first qualifying time. Got a car in front of them, and that is their teammate of Ghosty getting out of the way, maybe giving them a slight tow down the start-finish straight there. So M1 Righty, having won 3 races this season, 10 races overall, M1 Righty has won with the G-Force Racing Elite League, looking to make that 11 races overall for today. Try and stretch out that lead on Mac T. Mac T will have other designs though. Mac T currently provisional 2nd on the grid for the start of this race. That time of 1:15. I was just about to say what the target was, but Mac T set that now. 1:15.398 for Mac T. That is our target now for M1 Righty. They come round the final corners here. Braking hard into turn 12. Guide the Alpine round turn 13. Nicely smooth on the power as we come out of 13. Now 14. Again, accelerating out, drifting the car out over the curb, but not too much curb for M1 Righty. M1 Righty sets the fastest time, Toby. 1:15.017. They mean business here today.
No surprise that M1 set it. It's just whether he can hold that pace in the race, which we know he can. It's just whether the others are better in the race.
M1 Righty's really set the benchmark here. Welcome, Obo and Matthew M. Dorling. If you want to let us know as you're watching here who you think is going to win here today, guys. I'd love to have your opinions. You've been up close and personal with these guys many of these guys out on track. Let us know what you think. Hey, Charlie's joining us, taking a short break out of qualifying. Charlie, keep focused on the race here. We know you go well. And there's big points up for grabs here today, and perhaps you can throw a spanner in the works for M1 Righty and Mac T. I know if I ask you who you think's going to win, Charlie, you're going to say yourself. So, and I would not blame you. M1 for the win, says Obo. Guy is on another level. It's difficult to argue with that statement. M1 has been on fire this season, but they have not had it easy. With Mac T, Charlie, Roadrunner, M. Dorling, and a few others mixing with them. And Toby, I wouldn't count out Emilecki here today. Emilecki goes well in 5-lappers round here. But I could see them doing well in this race. What do you think?
Definitely, but a 5-lapper compared to a 50% race is much different. So it's whether he can conserve his tyres and still have the pace.
Indeed. So Mr. Hannes is trying to improve on their previous time of 1:16.805. That was very much a sighter for them, I imagine. I hope Mr. Hannes doesn't mind me mentioning, but it's basically Mr. Hannes' knee that is the problem. So they're recovering from a very serious repeat injury to their knee. And obviously driving a car and pedals and things like that is not easy with that kind of injury. So they won't have... And as Mr. Hannes has just gone wide there, so beyond track limits. We'll come back to Mr. Hannes, but I do want to give our good friend David T here some time, and so has got Obo taking full advantage of the reset to track emotes. And the eagle-eyed amongst my subscribers will also know another very special emote now available to all my subscribers. We did mention that for Spicy Nuts we would do something very special for them. So is a dedicated Spicy Nuts emote now available to all my subscribers. I don't think Spicy is with us today, but hopefully they make an appearance and they'll be able to take advantage of their own personalised emote here on M1 Racing. All right, we are on board with David T as they go into turn 1. We're going to hit our first DRS zone, the DRS marker. Obo's found the Spicy Nuts, excellent. David T now through that first DRS zone, the DRS activation line. It's actually while your car is still turning. So it's a brave driver that opens up that DRS early and accelerates as the car will be much lighter. David T now through the flick of the left-hander. Now the sweeping right, trying to keep that pace going. The Ferrari drifting slightly there. We're going to go through the chicane. Nicely done. A big chunk of curb. That sends the Ferrari a bit wider than I think David T wanted. And David, I think, has had to back out of that. So David will have to go one more time. And that's a risk, Toby, isn't it? Hitting those big curbs through the chicane, and it can throw your car all over the place.
Yeah, definitely. He was pretty much going flat out through one of those turns, which might have given him understeer, plus hitting that curb.
I've quickly moved up to Mac T, Toby, so we could keep an eye on our championship protagonists here. So Mac T trying to improve on that 1:15.398. We've only got 3.5 minutes of qualifying left to go. Mac T always has good race pace. It's whether or not they can get up onto the front row of the grid here for the start of the race. At 1:15.398 is the best part of 4/10 away from M1 Righty. They've got to go some to improve and steal that time away from M1 righty. I can see M1 just retiring here, saving their tyres for the race itself. MacT coming around the final corner, comes over and does not it does improve, 1:15.182, so 0.2 improvement, Toby. Not enough to catch M1 though.
No, but 2/10 of 2/10, it proves you can go faster, which he should be able to capitalise on and keep going faster, hopefully.
Let's get down to David T one more time. David T is up on their earlier time by 700ths as they come now into that chicane, which gave them real problems last time. They do hit that curb hard again, but keep the car within track limits. Through 7 and 8 there now, so David trying to guide this red Ferrari as we come around the back of the circuit here. Ooh, really pushing the edge of track limits, so I think David's held on to that as we come down into 12. We always seem to be passing Williams at that point on the track with all their drivers. 2 more corners to go for David now as they guide the car around very wide as they try to get back on, and David's not happy with that one. So David is in there. Doesn't look as they're going to improve on that 1:15.772. Decevest now trying to improve as well. Take a whole bunch of curb on the way through. No, so Decevest still setting up this Mr. Hannes now. So Decevest saw the fast charging Red Bull. Mr. Hannes trying to beat that 1:16. Not improving, it would seem, so far on Sector 1. So we're now into Sector 2. Gets busy out on track now, folks, as their drivers trying to get one more lap in before we run out of qualifying. And Mr. Hannes had to back out of that one as well. So M1 is on the back of Mr. Hannes here. MacT is into the pits. Emelecki now. Their final lap, 1 minute left to qualifying to go. David's in the chat with us briefly. Yeah, just brief. We saw it, David. It was ever so close, but it was just enough. Very unforgiving. So Emelecki backing out of that one as well, it would seem. Ghosty trying to improve. So they're into Sector 1, Turn 1. M1's teammate has definitely got pace in this game. Can they leapfrog Emelecki, Charlie Ark and MacT? Now Alpine needs some constructors' points here. We'll take a look at the constructors' points when we end today's race. But Mercedes are leading the way. Their closest challenges are most definitely the Alpines. And with both drivers out this week, they will bag as many points as they can possibly grab. Both of these Alpine drivers will be after the full 25 if they can get it. So Goat coming around the second half of the lap here. Pete's telling me M1 is purple in the first sector, so M1 already improving. Potentially could be the first one into the 1:14s. Remember that target time, 1:15.017, set by M1 righty on their very first lap. Coming round the final corner here. Ghosty does improve, but only very slightly. 1:15.588 moves them just slightly ahead of Emelecki. Emelecki will be coming around to finish their lap very, very shortly. SS7 with a 1:15.389. They take provisional third. Good qualifying time from SS7. M1 is into the 1:14s. Wow, 1:14.694, Toby. That's a pretty special lap from M1.
That's like an eSport level lap.
Pretty impressive. And that's some accolade, Toby. Yes, indeed. That is some time. We want to see what Emelecki can do here. They've got a 1:15.622. You can see not much time required to move up quite dramatically. 1:15.623, I think that was for Emelecki. We will check. So they stay in 6th. And Obo is predicting a very long DRS train. And there we have it, folks. A 1:14.694 gives M1 righty provisional pole. Followed by Charlie Ark. They stole in there to grab second spot on the grid. Welcome back, Charlie. MacT in third alongside their teammate of SS7. Mercedes alongside each other on the second row. Then comes Ghosty, setting a 1:15.588, just 0.2 back from SS7. Emelecki with a 1:15.622. David T with a 1:15.772. Desaves with a 115.958 and Mr. Hannes, welcome back Mr. Hannes, with a 116.334. They did improve, but not able to make a dent on the drivers above them. So, Toby, here comes that impossible question. Who's going to win it?
M1 just with he's got 4/10 in hand.
And do you think that, how important is this first corner going to be? Because we know overtaking is tough round here. Is M1 going to defend for their lives into that first corner, or just let everyone go because they know they've got the pace?
Well, that first corner very tricky, and we've had some conversations about dive bombing in the chat. So I kind of feel like it's the make or break in that turn, whether you die or whether you succeed. Because if you do, then you'll be up there.
Well, let's see what they can do. I'm going to ask Pete who he predicts to win. He can whisper that in my ear. Oh, so Pete's gone for Charlie. Okay, that's interesting. Mix that up. I've still got my fingers crossed for Mac T. I'm desperately hoping that they get that victory eventually before the season is out. I see Mr. Hannes in the chat as well. Welcome, Mr. Hannes. Great to have you back with us this week. Go well today. We'll certainly give you the benefit of the doubt here. You'll be well out of practice. But hang on the back of the DRS train if you can, and you never know what might happen. Toby, likelihood of safety cars here today?
High for a normal race, but with our standard, maybe slightly lower.
We haven't seen a weather forecast yet either, or not heard of one. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. Hungary is known to rain. We are in Europe after all. We're coming into the summertime here, of course, in the real world. And Hungary can get very hot as well as cold and wet. So that would mix things up if we do see rain. But we haven't had rain in GFR. Oh, Charlie's confirmed. Okay, thank you, Charlie. Dry all race. Okay, so it's Toby. That probably helps us in a way. It's all gonna be about the driver's ability, and the weather's not going to play a significant factor.
Yeah, but again, it's the GFR. When do we take the weather forecast as true? It has a very higher chance of raining, whether the game says so or not.
Well, I think we got all rained out in Spa, didn't we? We had the biggest downpour I think we've ever seen, and not had any rain since. All right, folks, we have 5 lights on. All right, folks, let's go racing. Round 7 of the G-Force Racing Elite League from the Hungaroring here in Hungary. M1 Righty leads us away. Charlie Ark follows behind. Mac T holding on to third. SS7 being challenged, as indeed is M1 Righty by Charlie Ark as they come through turn 1. Charlie has stolen the lead from M1 Righty. That Red Bull moves into the lead of the race. Very aggressive move there, Toby. I don't know if you saw it, but Charlie assumes the lead of this race.
No, I was just playing with some settings. I didn't get to see that.
That's a shame. Watch it back on the replay later. M1 now is obviously going to be after Charlie Ark. Let's bring up the tyres for everyone who is watching. I do not want that. I want the tyres. So tyres. Okay, Charlie is on the mediums. That would have given them that extra grip into that first corner. There's a bit of a battle going on between Ghosty and SS7, it would seem there. SS7 going very, very wide momentarily, as you can see our drivers following very closely together on lap 1, but everyone has made it through at this point. Charlie Ark leading the way on those medium tyres, and Toby, Charlie has got to get away from M1 if this medium tyre strategy is going to work.
Definitely. That medium tyre has more pace in it. So we need to extend to try and make the overcut viable. Or the undercut, viable.
Mac T has already dropped out of the range of DRS. Although DRS is not yet activated, Mac T is over a second back now from M1 Righty. So that will certainly help M1 attack Charlie when DRS opens, which will be at the end of this lap, we expect. Let's get down to, and we will ride on board here with David T. I think David, Toby, will be hoping just to stick in the DRS for now. Let's follow this train of cars and perhaps not look to... Oh, my word. We seem to have lost stream. Oh, hang on a minute, folks. A complete disaster at my end, it would seem. We will be a complete disaster at my end, folks. So we're going to get back into the game very, very shortly. That is a first. We have completely lost power here. I'm hoping you can still hear me. Toby, can you still hear me?
I can still hear you. I don't know about the stream.
Right, we are back into the game. Wow. Okay, apologies for that, folks. It's the first time ever, but we are back. Oh, we are back. Unfortunately, I didn't lose connection to the game. Yes, Obo. Technical difficulties. That will be the new emote for next week. All right. So hopefully we didn't miss too much. Indeed, looks as though everyone is where we left off. So Charlie is leading the way on lap 3. M1 Righty goes with him. Mac T dropping back outside of DRS, 1.5 seconds back from M1. Then Ghosty, then SS7, then Emeleki. David T sticking with this DRS train that's forming behind M1. And Mr. Hannes has got in front of Decavest. So Mr. Hannes making up one place. So I'll ask you that question again, Toby, before I was rudely interrupted by a lack of power. So, David, looking, I guess, like many of the other drivers here, looking to try and stay in the DRS and see how the race pans out before making any major moves.
Yeah, definitely. If you get out of that DRS, then you're going to plummet through the field like a rock in water, or a stone in water, as they say.
Well, nobody's doing that at the moment, but I think Mac T might be getting a little bit concerned, the gap that's opening up between them and M1. Of course, strategy yet to play out with it. Both M1 and Mac T both on hard tyres. And let's get back up to the front. Oh, there was a move there from Ghosty on Mac T. So Goat is trying to get past here on the Mercedes of Mac T. And again, Toby, I suppose Goat has got to make a move here. These medium tyres will not last too long. How long do you think it will be before these mediums will want to come in and switch?
15 laps, because it's quite a grip intensive course, but I don't know about the tyre deg, how that fares, so I'm going to say about 15 laps.
So we've got 35 laps to run here. We're on lap 4 of those, so still some time to go before we'll see anyone in, but these medium runners need to make the most of these softer, grippier tyres. Do you think some may actually go onto softs at some point? I can't imagine a 2-stop's viable around here on a 50% race, Toby.
Oh, I've been reading some of the drivers' chats, and 2-stop is definitely viable from what they've been practicing.
Okay, that'll be interesting to see that play out. And I guess the undercut here, very, very powerful with the extra grip that the new tyres can afford. So M1, very wide from Goat on the exit of turn 14 there. That is not going to help their tyres or indeed their pace. And that will be the first one of the track limits warning for the Alpine driver. And Toby, that's got to be another consideration as well. Track limits around here are notoriously bad, and we've got a few drivers who are known for collecting track limit penalties. Give me your prediction for the highest number of track limit penalties for today's race.
Highest number accrued by one person or total?
Yeah, by one person. Who's going to take that one?
I don't know the person, but I reckon at least 9 seconds of track limits and maybe a speeding penalty as well. I wouldn't be surprised if that does happen, though you do enter a corner quite slowly.
Well, I've just jumped on board with Mr. Hannes, who's now closing down on their ex-teammate of David T. So Mr. Hannes and David T were teammates in Haas in Season 1 and Season 2. David had to sadly leave us on a Wednesday due to work commitments, but has made special arrangements to be with us today. I know David was incredibly excited to be here, but they are now going to be challenged by their ex-teammate of Mr. Hannes, looking to pick up some points for Red Bull here on a rare appearance by them. And DRS now available for Mr. Hannes as they look to come through on the inside of David T. Lovely move by Mr. Hannes, Toby, and that's moved them up into 7th. Mr. Hannes seemingly going well in these early stages.
Yeah, that DRS is quite powerful. There's only one detection zone on the whole track, and that gives you DRS for both zones. That DRS is incredibly powerful.
Mr. Han is already pulling out some time on David T. David obviously on those hard tyres, so looking to go long into at least half distance or beyond here round Hungary. We know from Charlie that the race is going to stay dry, so we're unlikely to have switched up strategies as a result of that. Let's get up to SS7 and Ghosty here, son, with SS7 riding on board with them. SS7 conserving their battery, got about 75% there, so just able to stick with the Alpine in front of them. And Ghosty sticking with Mac T also. SS7 dropping briefly outside that 1 second as the DRS detection line we just crossed there. And then SS7 will now have DRS, and that will just allow them to keep in touch with the Alpine driver. We get up to go. They are not forcing it past Mac T. So Toby, Mac T still has some reasonable pace on those hards, and those hards are going to come to Mac T in the next 3 or 4 laps or so.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's just trying to conserve his tyres for not getting the dirty air of any other cars, while still having enough pace to fend off Ghosty, and Ghosty might have realised what he's trying to do and doing the same thing, sitting in the DRS and saving the tyres.
We saw Mac T go very wide there, and that will be a track limits warning for Mac T. I told you folks there's going to be a few 3-second penalties starting to appear on our screens as we move further into this race. If you're with us for the very first time here on M1 Racing, or perhaps new to the F1 23 game, we have this set so that if you go beyond track limits 3 times, you will pick up a 3-second penalty from race control, and that gets added to your time at the end of the race. And with the cars following so close together, Toby, penalties could have a real influence on the outcome of this race.
Definitely. It's because our pack is so close together and so equally matched. 3 seconds, even if you're in Charlie Ark's position, will drop you all the way down to Ghosty.
And you can lose a huge chunk of points and positions almost immediately. Emma Leckie now on to the back of SS7 with a little bit of benefit of DRS. But Mr. Hannes, I'm very impressed, Mr. Hannes, is getting onto the back of this group also. Obviously, Mr. Hannes on the medium tyres will have a little bit more grip still. But Mr. Hannes is really coming in to this race as well, having started last on the grid. SS7, Toby, is under some pressure here from Emma Leckie and Mr. Hannes. They're going to struggle to hold on to 5th at this rate. Yeah,
that's because SS7 has somehow managed to drop out of the DRS for Ghosty. And like I've said, DRS is so powerful. If you lose it, you will fall through the pack.
We know Emma Leckie is good round Hungary. Well, don't count them out as they gradually build into this race. Emma Leckie's second half of a race is always the best one. If they're in contention or thereabouts towards the end, we could certainly see Emma Leckie up in the podium. Where I think Emma Leckie may struggle is that they are notorious for picking up track limit penalties and warnings, so that might hurt them towards the end. But SS7 under a lot of pressure here. We're going to stay with this battle for a moment. So it looks like the closest one at the moment. This ride on board with Emma Leckie, as they will now have the benefit of DRS. They've also got a great deal of battery here. Emma Leckie's going to push it around the outside of SS7 as we go into turn 1. Takes the wide line. SS7 has to leave Emma Leckie some space on the outside. We want the cameras to come back to us, and as we see Emma Leckie emerge, they are indeed up into 5th place here, past SS7, and that's a good move from Emma Leckie. Toby, I don't know if you had a better view of it than me, but we caught the first half, but not the second half.
Yeah, my cockpit cam isn't working the greatest, so I'm on broadcast just like you.
So we've just seen the tyre degradation numbers for Emma Leckie and Ghosty, both on around about 25% on lap 9 here. Emma Leckie, of course, on the hard tyres, and they look to go a lot longer. Ghosty is still within DRS of Mac T. SS7 starting to drop back a little bit more. Let's get to Mr. Hannes here. Might be giving us another overtake on the Mercedes. SS7 pretty much going backwards at this point in time. So SS7 will have a fast charging Red Bull behind them. And we need to get up We've just heard from Pete that M1 was going for the lead into turn 1. We can see it hasn't changed on the timing screens, but Mr. Hannes is going, and M1 has got ahead of Charlie Ark as Mr. Hannes looks to have got ahead of SS7. Indeed they do, going round the outside of turn 2. They'll now have the inside for turn 3. SS7 pushing hard, but picks up a 3-second time penalty for going, and Mac T has spun. Mac T has spun. There was a ghosting Mac T. I don't know, Pete was suggesting maybe it was a disconnect, but Mac T was certainly trying to recover their car there, so I don't know if they spun. But that Mac T did seem to suddenly stop as we had a yellow flag. So Mac T's definitely had a moment. That has dropped them all the way back down there into 7th. Toby, I don't know if you caught that on your view.
No, I didn't catch that because I was just trying to pay attention at the front, give you better information what's happening up top.
And Obo suggesting potentially a reset to track for Mac T. Is it really there? And we see Spicy in the chat. Spicy, well, now you're here. You will be able to see Obo has been using your now personalised Twitch emotes. And I did promise you on Sunday that we would do something special for you. So we now have Spicy Nuts emotes for all my subscribers. So take advantage of them, my friend. And very good that you could join us here on the stream. Let me recap for you, depending on how much you've missed. Charlie Ark is leading the way on lap 11, having come up from second place. M1 Ricey qualified on pole, but Charlie Ark took the lead early on. There's been a good battle going on at the front, but M1 holding station on those hard tyres, largely behind Goat. Behind Charlie. Then comes M1's teammate of Goat Ghosty, having now moved up into 3rd. Really due to Mac T. Something happening to Mac T. We didn't see exactly what it was. Pete's telling me that Mac T has been in for a wing change. So some kind of contact or a moment for Mac T has really disadvantaged their race. That's also promoted Emeleki up into 4th now. And Mr. Hannes, who started last on the grid, has moved up into 5th. So let's bring up those winners and losers. So you can see Charlie up 1, M1 Ricey down 1, Goat Ghosty up 2, Emeleki up 2, and the real winner at this stage is Mr. Hannes. SS7 having a pretty tough race, and Mac T having a dreadful race due to that incident on lap 10 or 11 there. SS7 is into the pit. So, Toby, your prediction was around about right. I think you said lap 13. SS7 the first on the mediums to come into the pits.
I said lap 15, so...
Oh, close enough.
If anyone can go to lap 15, prove me right, please.
So we are with Charlie and M1 Ricey back at the front. So the 2 stops for both the Mercedes drivers now completed. Mac T's got a long way to go on those new medium tyres. Not that strategy that they were really looking for. But we'll certainly have some pace. They're 11 seconds back from Desaves in 7th. Desaves with a penalty and SS7 with a penalty, both for track limits. So we don't know, Spicy, if Hannes is on a controller or not. Or maybe they've got a bionic knee this week that's doing the whole work for them, an AI-controlled bionic knee. We shall see, but it's going well for Mr. Hannes this week so far. We're down to Emeleki now, and Toby, so move to Emeleki. They're on the back of Goat Ghosty. This is really going well for Emeleki now.
Yeah, definitely. Emeleki qualified, I believe. Where did he qualify? What, P5 or 6?
I think it was further down like that, yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely making overtakes on a very difficult overtake track because of the DRS, probably.
They're finding a way through it. Mac T sets a fastest lap of the race so far, 1:18.076. Remember, folks, that compares to something like 1:13, 1:14 being set by our drivers in qualifying. So there's a lot more pace to come as these cars get lighter and drivers go on to newer tyres. And Spicy, asking the question, will M1 be able to bridge the gap on those medium tyres when they pit later on? Be interested to see how that works out. Charlie is holding M1 at bay at the moment. It's got very, very tight between these two. M1 takes a look into into turn 12 there, doesn't make that one stick. So let me bring up the track map, because I'm being wrong of me to keep that hidden from us all for so long. So this very tight, twisty track here in Hungary, but sits in a bowl. It's a great place to watch, so you can see much of the track from most of the spectator positions. Got a break up on the stream there as M1 finds a way through on M1. M1 makes their way through on Charlie Ark, and maybe now these hard tyres, this is the switchover point for those, and the mediums need to get off of them. And your prediction around 15, Toby, was pretty spot on.
That was more luck than judgment.
So will Charlie hold on to the DRS here of M1? They'll need to if they can make this medium strategy work. So we'll see if Charlie can do that. Let me get down to Emeleki, who remains on the rear of Goat Ghosty. You'll know that Goat will be starting to struggle with grip now on lap 14. Blue skies here in Hungary, as Charlie was telling us. No chance of rain here today, so it's all about the drivers and them keeping it on track. Emeleki will be looking to find a way past, probably on this next DRS down the main straight, as we've got these joint battles between M1 and Charlie, and then Goat Ghosty and Emeleki. Do you think, Toby, Emeleki will make a move now?
Most definitely. Either on the hards, Goats on the mediums. There should be a nice tyre difference there, as we've seen with M1 and Charlie. The hards are now coming into their own.
Certainly, Goat had some decent straight line pace there on the Williams. We don't know if Emeleki was on battery, but I suspect there's a high likelihood that Goat was, but they were certainly swift in straight line. Pete was telling me Charlie's gone a little bit wide, so they're pushing hard on those medium tyres on lap 15, so they will likely be pitting pretty shortly. Let's get down to Mac T. We see Mac T on the back of Decives, recovering from that incident a couple of laps ago, in for a pit stop and a new front wing. We'll be looking to get past the Williams, but this is the problem, isn't it, Toby? You get stuck behind a slower car and there's just no way past. You can see Mac T weaving left and right, trying to find a way past Decives, but there's nowhere to go.
Yeah, you need to have, I reckon, at least 4/10 be quicker than the other cars, just to make it a viable pass through some of the corners. And even then, you can probably get 2 cars width if you did it right.
Mac T made it work through turn 11 there, so they've got that one done on Decives. So they'll be starting lap 16 in 7th place here. So recovering as quickly as they can. They've given Decives some DRS, but behind Decives comes SS7, who's on some hard tyres now. They'll be taking those all the way to the end. We'll love to know what Mac T's tyre wear is going to be like in another 20 laps or so. But they've got to take those mediums a very long way, or maybe they will try a 2-stopper. And we were talking about it earlier, Toby. That's still an option for Mac T, I suppose. If you're 2 seconds a lap faster on soft tyres, it's not a long pit straight here in Hungary. So, yeah, 2-stopper for Mac T on the cards, maybe?
Definitely, as long as they've got a fresh-ish pair of softs. But I've got some tyre data for David T, who's on the hard since the start of the race. We can base it off of that for everyone else. So it's high 40s, just below 50.
Well, we've got the 2 teammates here of SS7 and Decives, ex-teammates, I should say, in the Elite League, both driving for Mercedes last season. Decives has actually let SS7 through, so perhaps they thought better of trying to defend. Charlie Ark is in, so SS7 is going to move up a couple of places here as they get past Decives, and now Charlie, who is in the pits. Charlie's just coming out of the pit lane. We'll see Charlie in the Red Bull there, just coming out the pit lane as SS7 and Decives come past. So SS7 now up into 7th, looking to follow after their teammate of Mac T. Decives staying with SS7 for the moment, but on much older hard tyres. Charlie onto those hards. They will take those all the way to the end. And we will see what the power of the undercut looks like when M1 Righty comes in to serve their pit stop. M1 has now got a bit of a gap out to Emelecki, so the best part of 5 seconds between Emelecki and M1 Righty. Ghosty on some very old hard tyres here, Toby. So go in third place, 16 lap old medium tyres, but still going quite well and able to hold on to the DRS of Emelecki, it seems.
That'll be a mix of just pure pace and the DRS being able to hold on, with them being so old, and we know how used the hard tyres are currently. For mediums must be well into the 60%, maybe even more.
All right, going to get to Mac T, who is on the back of their fellow countryman. Mr. Hannes is in, so Mac T goes down the inside of David T. Now up into fourth for Mac T. A lot of work still to do for the best Mercedes driver, chasing their first victory of the season in the Elite League. Mac T having won 4 races in the Ironman League, but yet to pick one up in the Elite League. Numerous podiums for Mac T, but no victory for them yet. David T will hope to hang on to the back of Mac T for as long as possible, but they will have SS7 fast behind them, and David T picks up a 3-second time penalty. They will start to be coming through. Charlie Ark has got past on Desaves, so Charlie also looking to get after SS7. Pretty sharpish here. Desaves hanging on as best they can. Mr. Hannes onto some fresh hard tyres. Best part of 10 seconds back from Desaves. Let's go back to Goat Ghosty on the back of Emelecki. Goat trying to drag these mediums as far as they can. What do you reckon, Toby? Is Goat thinking of softs to go to the end?
No. To do that, you're going to have to be within 10 laps of the end. And to take these mediums, 30 laps? Or no, 25 laps, another 5 extra? Maybe? It's a possibility, but no, I personally wouldn't do it with how he just slid into into turn 2 there on the entrance. His tyres are going. It'll be a matter of time before we'll have to pit before then.
Now, I don't yet have the tyre wear statistics on my timing screen for Goat. It would be interesting to see what that tyre wear is looking like, because they're taking these mediums a very long way. I can tell you, or I thought I could tell you, I think David T's tyre wear before they came in was around about 56%. So they got their hard tyres to around about lap 18, 19 before they were down well below half. I think this is a real battle. Certainly a great attempt from Goat. We'll see. They are dropping back from Emelecki now. 1.4 seconds as we see Goat come in. Okay, that's enough for Goat. They knew they were dropping off. So Goat is coming in to the pits here, and they will be on to, I'm going to guess, some hard tyres. Let's stay with Goat, because this could be race defining for them as they come in. What would it be? It is hards. Okay, so Goat not risking the softs just yet. Let's go in, and there's obviously, I guess, Toby, the chance of a safety car at the end, and then everyone will be in for softs.
There is definitely, and with everyone coming in, if everyone does, I think David would be the only one that to benefit because of the double stacking.
That's very true, being the sole Ferrari out there. They will not have to worry about what their teammate is doing. Yeah, and Spicy in the chat, I think that is odd to go onto hard so late in the race, well beyond half distance. They obviously didn't fancy the gamble of going on to softs, and maybe those mediums are about to go. But that does look like an odd strategy for them, unless they know something we don't. And we'll soon find out. We have got 15 more laps to go here, folks. Round 7, the G-Force Racing Elite League. Our championship leader, M1 Righty, leads the way on just starting lap 21. Emelecki now having moved up into second place on track, but both M1 and Emelecki have yet to pit.
Emelecki's pit, by the way.
And Emelecki is in. Thank you, Toby. Yes, so Emelecki is in. And they will be quick now, Toby. Medium tyres to the end for Emelecki. And they are going to get the potential of the undercut on M1.
Definitely, but we've seen M1's pace. He might just be able to hold off that undercut. But I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did as well.
To everyone who's watching here on M1 Racing, let me know, is Emelecki going to go on to win this? This is going to be close. I think Emelecki is potentially going to have track position over Mac T. We obviously don't know what the other drivers in front are going to be doing. Charlie Ark and SS7 ahead of Emelecki at this point, and they both have pitted. Can't count those out. Emelecki would have to get past them. They're 5 seconds back from SS7. Where is M1 Ricey going to come out in all of this? They were only about 5 seconds or so, I think, ahead of the others, and M1 could be right back in the pack here, Toby, after their pit stop. Have they left it too late?
Maybe. We'll have a look at Maxi's time, but it looks to be that he's gaining. I think M1 has just failed his strategy horrendously here.
Well, this will be a first time if M1 messes up on their strategy. They are usually the master. And Pete's just said in my ear, is M1 going to go for softs? Well, that will make it interesting. Let's just put it that way. So we've got it all to play for. We're on lap 22 of 35. M1 Righty leads on track but has yet to pit. Mac T is going to assume the lead of this race. 11 laps, though, in on their soft tyres and only 1.5 seconds clear of Charlie Ark. I'm with Ghosty at the moment, who is on new hard tyres on the back of Emelecki. Emelecki blinking out of battery. And that's the other consideration here, Toby, isn't it? It's very hard to charge up your battery round Hungary. Once it's gone, it's gone for a number of laps.
I would have thought it was quite easy with the amount of heavy braking zones they've got and the turns. Though your ERS deployment, you're dumping it on the straights where you can to try and get them over, get the overtakes. So
I'm up now to Charlie Ark, who is trying to get on to the back of Mac T. Indeed, Pete's telling me Charlie Ark has been closing the more recent laps. So the fastest lap of the race so far, 1:18.076, set by Mac T. And then Emelecki, there we go. Just as I look at fast laps, Emelecki sets the fastest, so 1:17.815. We will see these fastest lap times start tumbling. So Emelecki passed on SS7, moves up into fourth. And this is the race, isn't it, Toby? There's probably 4 or 5 drivers from here that can win it.
yeah, anyone really. Unfortunately for Mr. Hannes, I'd say everyone above him had a good chance of winning just because of the gap between him and Ghosty. And yes, there's a big gap with Emil, but I reckon there's the possibility of that shrinking.
And Spice is reading the timing screen, so he's absolutely right that Emelecki is 2 seconds faster pretty much than most of the rest, and particularly M1 Righty. I really think they've left this very, very late, but M1 is in now, so that is it. On the end of lap 22, M1 is in. Mac T is going to move into the lead of this race, and they're going to drag Charlie Ark with them. Watch for M1 has gone on to mediums. M1 has gone on to mediums. Toby, that really surprises me. I know it's a favourite tyre for M1, but they obviously just don't trust those softs to go well enough around here. M1 is coming out. Let's get out onto the track. Yeah, so they're behind their teammate of Ghosty. Ghosty's got to play nice here as well. Well, this is going to be interesting to watch, but M1's got a lot of work to do with only 11 more laps remaining.
Yeah, M1 did terribly because if SS7 did go and he would have lost an extra position and be P6. He's really messed up this strategy unless he can carve through the pack, which we've known him to do. But I reckon softs could have lasted for these laps if you used them correctly and didn't go when he did go flat out, have enough room to lift off a little.
Well, SS7 has been in for a second pit stop, so that's worth noting. So SS7 is doing a two-stopper. I think they've been struggling here a little bit, not really found the pace. We're with David T and Mr. Hannes there. Battle has resumed, the battle between 6th and 7th here. David T obviously has a penalty, but is on those much faster medium tyres on lap 24, so they will be looking to return the favour of Mr. Hannes of being overtaken earlier on in the race. We'll stay with David T as we come round turn 14 to start lap 25 for them. DRS comes open, using the battery now for David. Just very briefly, actually, it looks as though David's got some good straight line speed into turn 1. Nicely done by David T. And they move up into 6th place and will look to get away from the Red Bull driver. They get the benefit of a second helping of DRS after turn 1, and David T holds on to that 6th place. Let's get up to the front. So Mac T, 14 lap old medium tyres. Well, we saw Ghosty try and take their medium tyres quite some distance, Toby, but can they really take them all the way through to lap 35? They're going to lose so much in terms of time and track position if they pit.
Are we talking about David?
Sorry, Mac T.
Mac T. Oh, when did he pit for them again?
14 laps ago.
14. I reckon it could go because we got the lighter fuel loads 14 laps ago. So he's going to have to take them to, 20 laps? I reckon they could last that quite easily with the lighter fuel loads as long as you drive conservatively.
Well, M1 Righty's got pace. We knew that was coming. A 1:16.635, the fastest lap of the race so far. So M1 is motoring, but they've still got some ground to make up, and Emeleki is onto the back of this battle for the front too. Mac T, Charlie Ark, Emeleki, and any battling here is going to play into the hands of M1 Righty. We see M1 Righty in the distance there as they make their way back to the front of this particular race. So Mac T holding on to the lead, but very, very old medium tyres and only going to get older from here. But Emeleki is hoping to find a way through on these drivers. M1 closing down more than a second and a half a lap to these cars in front. They're going to be fighting with this group very, very soon. Drop down to Emeleki, and if I get to M1, there's M1. They're going to be in the range of DRS as we go down the main straight here. We're going to be seeing some bold moves, I think, here in a moment, Toby, into turn 1.
Definitely. M1's got the grip between his teeth now. He's probably a little annoyed at himself for messing up that strategy so poorly. We're going to be carving his way through this top 3.
Well, maybe it's a bit too much criticism for us as Charlie's looking on the inside of Mac T there. Mac T, Charlie's through. That's giving an opportunity for M1 to get through on Emeleki.
3 wide.
Mac T is not giving up on this. As they go through turn 2, then turn 3, Mac T is holding on. And Mac T is back in front. M1 goes through on Charlie Ark. So we've got cars switching positions every single corner on lap 27. Now so much more grip for M1 as they go into the chicane. And M1's back in front. As what an opportunist move from Emeleki, it seems. Indeed, through on the inside of Mac T. Emeleki not having any of that. So Mac T starting to drop back now as those medium tyres really paying or feeling the pain now. 16 laps old, and Emeleki moves through very quickly, and I haven't long while since I've seen an overtake there, Toby, into the chicane, but that's moved Emeleki into second, and they're looking very strong, but looks like M1 Righty is going to be disappearing off into the distance.
Maybe. Oh, pretty much definitely. But I don't think I've ever seen a 3 wide into turn 2 in the Hungary ring.
Well, our drivers held on to it, but Charlie seems to be struggling a little bit now. They were trying to get closer to Mac T, but went a little bit wide, or perhaps outbraked themselves a little bit into turn 1. Perhaps picked up some damage from the the very close battling that was happening a corner or two earlier. But Charlie is still on the back of Mac T. We'll see if Mac T can hang on, but no, they are just on the edge of DRS to Emeleki. This is going to be super difficult for Mac T to get back into the running for the win here. M1 is pulling out second after second now on Emeleki. 2.6 seconds that gap is open to already. So I think we have to retract our earlier statements, Toby. M1 Righty, I think, knew exactly what they were doing. And as we've seen before, they're super quick and are stretching out a healthy lead at the front of this race.
Maybe, but also it could have been that he made a little mess up. But then an angry driver, when controlled, is a very fast driver. So.
Well, Mr. Hannes here. We haven't forgot about Mr. Hannes, and David T has not let go of David T. Of course, Mr. Hannes doesn't necessarily need to fight David. David having a 3-second time penalty for track limits earlier. So Mr. Hannes guaranteed to finish in at least 6th place. Spicy's also mentioned that we don't forget about Ghosty here. So Goat going well, 9 laps in on these hard tyres and coming towards the back of Charlie Ark. So Goat potentially looking at a 4th place here and maybe even 3rd with a struggling Mac T. Mac T might think about giving up position perhaps for a faster lap, but that's a lot of places and time to give up. Actually, that would drop them a long way back. I can't see them doing that unless those mediums are definitely going to go. Charlie is looking much racier now than Mac T, and Goat is now within the DRS range of Charlie. So we're going to have a battle for 3rd place here. Looks like M1 and Emeleki, Toby, have got 1st and 2nd sewn up, but it's a battle now for the last place on the podium.
Yeah, definitely. It could be any one of P3 to P5. But with the battle between Mr. Hannes and David, I think Mr. Hannes is starting to lose a bit of grip. He went a bit wide coming out of one of the corners.
Well, David T's 11 laps in on their mediums as well, so I'd expect Mr. Hannes to have a little bit more. Obviously, the teams will run different setups slightly, but at the moment, it's looking good for Mr. Hannes in 7th, likely to be 6th at the end of this race. We've also got an eye here on Charlie Ark, who's right on the back of Mac T. As we're coming up towards the chicane where we saw a very bold move from Emeleki a few moments ago on Mac T. Charlie is not going for one there. Goat and Charlie will have DRS on the ailing Mercedes when they start lap 31. And Goat is definitely in with a shout of a podium here. That gap between M1 Righty and Emeleki stretching out further. It's nearly out to 6 seconds now. So M1's last lap of 118.2, Emeleki's a 119.8. So M1 showing that they have the pace once again. And Spicy's right, I am a little bit shocked that Charlie hasn't got past Mac T, and that could be some high wings for Charlie, which is allowing them to close up around the tighter parts of the circuit. But we can see they're on the straight. Charlie not able to make a dent on the Mercedes at all. So Mac T, Toby, got to give it to Mac T here. 20-lap-old mediums, but they are really hanging on to it. I'm praying for them that they don't get a puncture, but it's got to be close.
Definitely. What you want to do when you've got this old tyres, have the straight line speed and just slow down in the slow parts to where they can't overtake you, and nurse your tyres through them, because it's going to be impossible for them to overtake you, and you're going to be impossible to pass bus.
And we're going to give a couple of moments to Decevest, who we've really not spent any time with today. Decevest not having the best of days after a very strong performance last week, but the Hungaroring not suiting their time, not improving their place in the running order at the moment. So Decevest struggling a little bit here in 9th, but they will get points here today, folks. Points for the top 10. We've only got 9 drivers out there, so it's worth Decevest persevering, and they will get more penalties. I say that because they went wide there, but certainly more points, I should say, for Williams if they finish this race. SS7 also another tough race for them here today in Hungary. Expected SS7 to do better, but it's not worked out for them today. Let's get back to Go, Charlie and Mac T. That's where the race is for us now as we close out round 7. Charlie looking to go round the outside. Bold move as we go around the outside of turn 2. We'll have the inside for turn 3. And Charlie and Mac T tap each other, and they're both out. They are both out. This VSC is out. Virtual safety car is out. And very reminiscent of the coming together between Mac T and M1 Righty in Silverstone last week. If you were with us at the start of the stream, we had that replay. Toby, did you see that? The coming together between Charlie Ark and Mac T as they came out of turn 3 there.
No, I didn't get to catch that.
Unfortunately,
I'm annoyed I didn't.
We fortunately caught it live on the stream.
Oh, yeah, I just saw it on the stream.
So what we saw happen live on the stream there, folks, is obviously Charlie had got through on Mac T, but Mac T was still partially alongside as the Red Bull drifted out towards the edge of the track. Mac T caught the back of Charlie, and that took them both into the barrier. A VSC here rather than a full safety car, and that is because the position we are in the race, we won't get a full safety car, so that won't bunch the pack up, which would have made for a very interesting race. But it has really opened the door for a couple of drivers here. So it's promoted David T and Mr. Hannes, and of course SS7 and Desaves. So David T now up into 4th, Mr. Hannes into 5th, and Mr. Hannes actually is going, if they can stick with David T, is going to get 4th here on their return to the GFR Elite League. SS7 thinking it was going to be a pretty awful day for them, may well end up in 6th, and Desaves in 7th, so it's looking good for Williams, and not too bad in the end for SS7, but not a great day for Mercedes. And obviously Charlie Ark and Mac T now out of the race. So well, it's really mixed things up here, and Ghosty and M1 Righty laughing all the way to the bank, Toby, with 2 Alpines, 1st and 3rd now.
Definitely, I don't think David, though he's a great driver, will be able to close at 8 seconds up and pass Ghosty and pull 3 seconds, so the top 3 is pretty much sealed unless there's a massive crash.
Well, it was such a close battle between our drivers, and we were speaking about it in the driver briefing before the race. It is so tight round here. I know nobody meant any harm there, but it does unfortunately mean we lose 2 drivers from the race, and we have 7 runners left, folks. But I told you it was going to be eventful. I wonder if Mr. Hannes is going to give us some final entertainment. We're starting lap 34 out of 35. M1 Righty leads the way, now 9 seconds clear of Emelecki. Emelecki has judged their strategy pretty darn well, having started a few places down. Let us bring up the winners and the losers once more. So Emelecki up 4, Ghosty up 2, David T up 3, Mr. Hannes up 4. SS7 losing out from where they started, but perhaps better than they were expecting a couple of laps ago. And Desaves up 1 into 7th. Get your thinking caps on, folks. I will want your driver of the day before we close out here, and I'm going to be asking Toby and Pete the very same question before we close out. David T and Mr. Hannes having a pretty successful return to the league. David will be delighted, I'm sure. Obo and M. Dorling also getting some good points for Ferrari in the absence of their regular drivers. So David doing well. We may, if we get lucky, and we may stay online for a little bit. David might come into the commentary box like they did just before the start of the race. They might talk us through their experience of the race. Doesn't look as though Mr. Hannes is going to be bold here, Toby, as they start the last lap. So I'm going to go up to M1 Righty. We'll give M1 the honour of taking us around these final corners. And let's talk about M1, Toby. This will be their 4th victory of season 3. They've driven impeccably in those races. They obviously missed one race as well, so they've raced in, I think, 5 or 6, won 4 of them.
And this is going around the outside of David in turn 2.
Just as I came out. It's all right, thank you. Mr. Hannes hasn't done it, so I'll head back to M1 as we come around the final laps. And I think Toby, it's hard to see past M1 Righty for winning the championship this year. It's going to be an absolute miracle for anyone to beat them now, do you think?
The only way you can beat him really is if they've got commitments on every Wednesday and they miss the races. It's the only way you'll be able to beat them.
And M1 Righty crosses the line to take victory here in round 7 of the G-Force Racing Elite League. M1 is victorious once again, master of the strategy, nailed it once again, and takes victory. Emma Leckie comes home to take second. A brilliant drive by Emma Leckie, who said at the start that they would be on with a shout for a podium. Goat Ghosty comes home in third. David T is going to finish fourth on track, but Mr. Hannes is going to take fourth in the finishing order. David T finishes fifth. Congratulations to both Mr. Hannes and David T, and also Goat Ghosty finishing there on the podium in third. SS7, after a pretty tough day for them, finishes in sixth. Desaves is going for the fastest lap. We saw them switch on to softs to the very last moment. And so Desaves coming around to finish these final corners. They were purple in sector 1. As they come over to finish the line, I think they may have stolen it at the very last minute. We'll get that time up on our screen. Peter's telling me they did get it. We'll see what Desaves' time is. That will give them an extra point. So smart move by Desaves. The game has given Emma Leckie driver of the day. That's very fair on the part of the game. Toby, who would your driver of the day be?
One of two, either Emil or Mr. Hannes coming back with that injury and getting P4 was quite impressive. But then Emil starting back and making it up to P2 with the strategy was quite impressive as well.
Pete, who would your driver of the day be? Pete's gone for M1. And I'm going to give the driver of the day to Mr. Hannes. As Toby was saying, from my perspective, I have Mr. Hannes back so early, so after such a long while out, to come home and finish in fourth. I know drivers in front perhaps helped them a little bit, but after a bit of a tough qualifying to finish in fourth out from there, very good drive from them. But M1, gotta say, just imperious as always. There's our final classification. M1 Righty takes victory in Hungary. 25 points for them will stretch their lead at the top of the championship. Emma Leckie takes second for them and Williams. Great drive from Emma Leckie. Pretty good coming through, making up to 4 places into second, starting sixth. Goat Ghosty finishes third. Great drive from Goat. And a good day for the Alpine team. Mr. Hannes, as we were just talking about, finishes in fourth. David T on their return to the league, their brief cameo, finishes in fifth. Then comes SS7 in sixth, and Desaves with the fastest lap, a 1:16.491, extra point for them, finishes seventh. Charlie Ark and Mac T with that moment we saw, finishing in 8th and 9th. See, Charlie's joined us in the chat along with Goat Ghosty and Mr. Hannes. Great drive, guys. Charlie, so sorry to see you leave, but as you say, that accident was potentially coming with both of you battling so closely there towards the end of the race. Great drive, Goat. 40 points, as you say, for Alpine. Brilliant. Brilliant drive from both of the Alpine drivers, and good to have you back this week, Goat. Hopefully we'll see you for the remaining 3 races of the season. So today did not disappoint, as it rarely does. Let's bring up the constructor standings as they were before we went into today's race. We didn't get a chance to look at those before the race began. So Mercedes were leading the way, but with a strong haul of points, 40 of them, as Goat was pointing out in the chat. And SS7, the only Mercedes finisher, that's going to promote Alpine to lead the Constructors' title. So at the moment, Toby, it's looking like a clean sweep for Alpine. They could win the Constructors and the Drivers' Championship, but we've still got 3 races to go.
Definitely. Alpine have just been so strong recently. It's been hard to even get close to Alpine.
And Ferrari will pick up some more points today, courtesy of David T. So that's going to keep them in the hunt for the Constructors. We know we usually get a full Ferrari team out most weeks, and I think we may be having them all back in the not too distant future, one way or another. So Certainly Ferrari looking to be up there, but don't count out Williams with second for Emilecki today and a 7th place and fastest lap for Desaves. Williams will be looking to try and get in that top 3 as well. So let's see where we are next week. I've got Mr. Hannes in the chat as well. Welcome. And David T. Congratulations, boys. Mr. Hannes, David T. Brilliant drive. Good to have you back out on track. And congratulations on your points finishes today. So here we have it. Our Season 3 calendar is starting to come to a close as we say goodbye to F1 23 and prepare for F1 24. But we're going to have some cracking races on our hands to close us out. Round 8 next week in Las Vegas. It was a significant race in Season 2 and really helped M1 take the championship to the very end against SHS Predestinato. Maybe we see a turnaround in fortunes next week under the lights down the strip in Vegas and we get to the home, I believe, of Mac T. So looking forward to that one. Then we'll get Brazil, that incredible track at Interlagos, one of my favourites. And we'll finish off in Qatar, but that's not going to head ahead of ourselves. May the 22nd, Wednesday next week, 8 p.m. UK time, we are going to be live for round 8 of the GeForce Racing Elite League. So it only leaves me to say a huge thank you to Toby and Pete for being with me. Toby, you had a good time this week?
Definitely. There's always plenty of chaos all the time, anywhere you look at in our league.
This was a good one. Thanks for being here. We should have Rio back with us next week also to enjoy the lights of Vegas. My thanks to Pete for being in my ear and keeping an eye on those things we can't bring you live on the stream when there's so much going on. My thanks to all of our drivers for another exciting round of racing, and to all of you, most important, for watching. And I've seen we've got so many of drivers in the chat as well. Thanks for being here, guys. Enjoy the rest of your week. Mr. Hen is using his own emote, and the fact you were actually driving using pedals today with your knee is quite incredible. So well done for making that through. Brilliant drive from you. Okay, folks, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for being with us. We will see you next Wednesday. We will be live from around about 7:45 p.m. UK time for round 8 of the GeForce Racing Elite League. Until then, stay safe, and we'll see you very, very soon. Bye for now. Now we've got 3 cars wide. And Mac T's trying to get down the inside of him, Dorling. They're going to do it. Great switch back from him, one there. All right, folks, let's go racing.